What's going on, people of YouTube? It's John's Motorcycles back at you again with another video about my Clubstyle Street Bob. And today we're going to see a couple things I don't like about it and see if it's going to be right for you, so stick around. Alrighty, y'all, the first complaint that I have about this bike is my fairing. This might not be applicable to everybody's Clubstyle Street Bob or Clubstyle Lowrider, whatever you got, but mine was extremely expensive because I had to paint match the blue. And my biggest issue is that it vibrates and it makes a good amount of noise. I'm sure everybody's got a little bit of noise at a certain RPM, but I even had to go in here and put in some Rain-X material or some gutter material to keep it from rubbing as much. You can see where it wore away from the paint a little bit in there. But yeah, Harleys shake, so whatever you put on them is going to shake too, and they make noise. It may sound nitpicky, but when you want to hear your motor, you know, it gets kind of annoying. Alright guys, my next complaint about this fairing is that it's too short. So I actually went with the tallest glass you could get from Connolly's. It's a 16-inch. And it's still extremely short. On Instagram, when you're looking at building these bikes, they do a couple angles that make these bikes look gigantic, but as you can tell, on 6'2", and when I'm actually sitting on a bike like this, my head is much higher than the fairing is, so it blocks wind from my body, but all the wind gets deflected straight into my face, so I get a lot of buffeting. I'm not really sure if there's a way to fix that, because if I were to go any higher on the windshield, my windshield would be above my mirrors. And I think it would make the bike look kind of funny to have your mirrors and your bars below the fairing being up. So while it looks cool, it definitely isn't functional for the long rides. Alright guys, so one of my next biggest gripes about this bike, and this is just because it's stock, but unless you want to pay extra money, you're going to have your bike like this when you get it from the factory, is the front suspension. The front suspension on Harleys is notoriously soft. I'll show you. This is just body weight and the bike back and forth with not a lot of effort. And it's great for, you know, if you want to ride slow and just cruise, the soft suspension's kind of nice. But if you ever want to go fast and brake hard in the corners, ride aggressively, the front suspension is not going to cut it for you. And, you know, for paying as much as these bikes are from the factory, 15, 16 grand, they should have something better than just a really, really light spring and oil in the front. Alright guys, another big thing about this bike, this is also a factory part, but it's a soft toe so you can't really see it, but the rear monoshock is right up in there. You can see the tail end of it. It is very short, so you are very low to the ground with a stock bike, so you can't turn very hard, and it's pretty stiff. It's not a soft, gentle ride in the back, so you have a really soft front end and a really stiff rear end, and it just doesn't seem to be copacetic and work good together. So it's just another dollar sign you got to add to a build like this. You know, shocks can run you $1,000, so for something that you can't even see, I know that's a bummer. We don't have the Dyna shocks on the outside anymore, but anyway, it's another thing to keep in mind when you're doing a build. Alright guys, and finally the last gripe I have about Harley Davidson as far as a club style goes is it is expensive. Personally, I've got about $5 grand just in upgrades into this bike, not including maintenance things like tires, brakes, oil, etc., brakes, fluid. So if you're gonna build one of these, you kind of gotta have deep pockets, and the unfortunate thing is buying used is a gamble. If you buy a bike that's already built, chances are it might be a wheelie machine or it might be somebody else's project that you just don't want to get involved in. So if you think about it, if you're gonna do it new, you're paying the new price tag, probably somewhere between 15 and 18 G's. Then you're gonna spend $5 grand just to kind of get a seat, bars, exhaust intake built into the bike. And then if you want to go further, like buying mags, you're probably gonna spend 1,500 bucks on mags. If you want to build the motor, it's just endless. So it's expensive and the parts list never ends, guys. So make sure if you want to build one of these things, have some deep pockets and some savings. Alright guys, that just about wraps it up for this video. I'm not normally a negative guy and I don't really like to talk badly about Harleys because, you know, I love them. But, you know, there's a couple things you should know if you're going to build a club style Harley. They're expensive just like any other Harley, and they're fun, they go fast, but they will empty your bank accounts. All right, guys. Thank you for watching all the way through. Like and subscribe if you like what you see.